was like just sit down and properly journal, because I hadn't written anything in this since the 6th of June when I got ill. And it was something at the end like this. Yeah, I wrote, this is a fucking cool experience I'm about to have, like referring to Europeans.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in my own way trying to make it perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like if I strive for it to go exactly as I want it to go, in inverted commas, whatever that means, but in doing that, like inhibit my ability to enjoy the experience, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? You can extrapolate that to just life as well. Like by stressing to try and optimize shit and make it perfect, you let go of actually being able to enjoy it.
Did you kind of you feel more enthusiastic after like coming back from being ill, and feel more sort of gratitude and stuff like that?
It's a weird one. Like going back to camp at the weekend and seeing like some set plays that I wasn't there when we sort of first introduced these plays, and having to like play catch up with that, and then when we did the training games yesterday, not being well enough to actually play properly. I played like I think just under a quarter in the game in the morning, and then I wasn't even in my sports chair for the second game in the afternoon. I just sat with the coaches. So mentally, it's a weird one, because there's a part of me that feels like I'm behind, and that's less motivating. But there's also a part of me that's like, right, it's time for a rebuild, and that's the thoughts that came to me after I did that bit of journaling. It's just like you're gonna get knocked down sometimes, and it's gonna feel not fair because you're the only one on the team that's got ill. But that's just the way it fucking is, and I can either bitch and complain about it and be like, oh, why did it have to happen to me? Or I can just get up and just carry on and just do the best with what's in front of me in the games and the minutes that I get. And that's what it's about, Like I realized that I think a lot of this conversation, from my end anyway, is going to be talking about different points that I've been considering to sort of have the best mindset I can going into this tournament. And one thing I wrote about this morning was how it kind of conflicts with some points that I'm going to go into later that I've written down, but not in a way. I think you can align all the things that I'm thinking about, even though at some points they seem different and contrasting. But I was talking about how the best way to play is letting go of any expectations, like being loose and like water and dissolving expectations, and just getting lost in the act of playing basketball and seeing it as the game that it is, like being in a state of play. Because in that state, I play the best basketball and I enjoy the experience the most. And like, then I'm not holding on so tight and trying to make it so perfect. And in forcing myself to try and play perfectly, that's when I make mistakes, because you're overthinking it and you're too much in your own head. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought it's like, how often do you find yourself in that state of play?
I mean, in the basketball context, it's weird. When I go on court, if I hit my first shot, then I'm good. It's almost like I'm looking for evidence that it's going to be all right. And I need that initially. I need to get that first points on the board, or at least just make a good play, like a good assist or whatever it is, just to like lock me into the game. Once I've got that, I can sort of then trust myself. When I've got that trust, I can then go into that state of flow or play or whatever.
What could you do to get yourself into that state?
I was actually thinking about this because my prep for the practice games we did, even though I was ill, was not how I wanted it to be. I wasn't in the game. In the warm-up, I felt flat. Even in the pre-game warm-up we did on the Saturday in the afternoon, I just felt flat. Everyone was like shouting to try and bring the energy up, and I was just like, fuck me, I just want to get through this. Like, so I was like, what do I need to do differently? I think I need to start the process earlier. I need to do my prehab stretches before we do our team meeting in the changing room. That was something one of my teammates put on the chat this morning actually about how he thinks we need to start everything earlier because it feels rushed if we just start warming up after the team meeting. So I'll do like my prehab band stretches before the team meeting, have the team meeting, start putting my shots up. And while I'm warming up, actually, I don't want to wear my kit. I have my kit on. I want to have like a t-shirt or a jumper over the top so I stay warm. Because I don't like getting cold when I'm in a warm up. And also, if I'm in a quarter zip jumper, I'm like casual. I want the warm up to be casual. Do you know what I mean? Then I do, bro. I just want to be shooting around like it's fun. Just getting my arm warm, like singing along to some songs. I want some good tunes on while we're warming up, shouting for everyone, slapping everybody's hand as we're going into the line. That's the energy I need to have. And then when the game starts, let's say I'm starting on the bench, which is probably most likely. When I'm on the bench, I want to be shouting for my teammates. I want to be in the game. I want to be analysing what the defense of the other team are doing. I want to be analysing what they're doing in their offense. So I can be taking mental notes of what I'm going to do on offense and defense. Maybe I can have a ball in my hand I can be holding. I want to be talking to my teammates. I want to be shouting. Then when I do go on, I need to be, I want to get warm quickly. The first offense or defense, I push hard, get my body into it. It's those kind of finer details that I've never even had to think about before.
I think you need to. This is how you become a pro, by looking at these very small details and improving that so that you can improve your overall performance.
Yeah, I agree. Because when I was just a bench warmer, that was when I was a kid and the games we were doing just didn't matter anyway. It was like under 15s type shit. And then when I played in competition just at club level, I've just always played. Like I've never started on the bench. And that's a weird experience because you go, well, it's not weird is the wrong word. It's just different. Like you do your whole game warm up and then you might not go on for 20 minutes. Where for those 20 minutes, you're just still. And then you have to go on and expect to be warm.
When people like hyping each other up and like come on and shouting and stuff, does that improve performance?
Hugely. Yeah, it's everything. Actually, I saw mate, it's huge. I saw a video that was talking about an actual study that they did on, I think it was basketball players. I think it was college basketball. I might be wrong though, but it was a team sport study, and they found a correlation between the amount of physical contact teammates had with each other through a high five or a hug or like a tap on the shoulder or like tap on the back or whatever. The more physical contact between teammates, the better or the more likely they were to win the game. So interesting. But it's the same thing, like when anyone in your team gets like an and one and scores and gets fouled and goes to the free throw line, everyone shouts. Like roars with like, everyone just gets hyped. Do you know what I mean? Like slapping each other's like with joy. And like that brings up the team's energy. That's a huge thing. That's the big momentum for the game. And you take free throws, and whether your teammate hits or misses, you go and you high five him. And even if they miss, you say next one. If they score, you shout for them, and that's big. So I think when I'm on the bench, I want to be that guy, and I haven't been so far, and that's just my bad because for some reason psychologically it's difficult to just get into it, like probably sink my teeth into that role. But I guess this is my first proper, international competition, so it's all about learning really and figuring that kind of shit out.
Do you think this is the case because of the support kind of acts as people believing in you, which makes yourself believe in yourself?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a factor. It increases your confidence because if you hit a shot and all your teammates go, yeah, mate, keep taking that shot. That's your spot. They can't defend you. They can't guard you. That's going to make you feel great because that's instant validation from the outside, like promoting you to go and do that same thing again. And also it just brings up the team energy, like the vibration of your whole squad is in a good place when you're all rooting for each other. Like it takes a level of selflessness to actually be a good team because you have to feel as fine about someone else scoring as if it was you scoring, if you know what I mean. Like you have to be completely comfortable with not scoring and still winning that game. And it's almost like you have to leave your ego at the door if you want to actually be a good team. or like you have your own ego when you're training and you trust yourself and you have that self-confidence, but you don't have to be the guy in every situation. In fact, if you're not the guy but the team still wins, then you're happy. And that's a weird one to navigate as well.
Is there energy in sports? Like, because I remember when I was with your mum on the bench and she was like trying to give the other team bad energy and stuff like that. but how much do you think that this is kind of like a real thing?
I mean, I don't have any like science on it, but just from personal experience, the energy of your team is a huge thing. The way your coach interacts with the squad in that team huddle, the way you all think about each other, the way you all respect each other's game and have faith in each other to hit that shot, the way that you all roar when you score a basket. Like, if you've got a loud bench, it's almost like you're playing with more than 5 players. They might not be on the court, but like if they're like shouting, if you get a stop on a team where they don't score and your bench screams "good D" like really loud in the other team's faces, mate, that's killing them psychologically. So it really is. I mean, the Turkish national team are a great example where like they will, even if they score the easiest points like a fast break layup or a basic pick and roll, their whole bench will boom at the top of their lungs at any point. And it's like they have this notorious, like, we're going to bully you both physically and psychologically when you play against them. So, yeah, what you bring in terms of your volume and your camaraderie as a team, that energy, that's a huge thing. It's what takes good individuals and puts them together to create a good team.
Well, what's your thoughts on manifestation? So, like, shaping the way of reality through your vision.
I've actually thought about this before. So, I think people that criticize this idea seem to think it's suggesting that what you think about happens. That's not true. Your thoughts don't create reality. That's not the single relationship. It's more complicated than that, but that's like the basics, right? But in that, what it actually is what you think about then accumulates to what you believe about yourself and what you're capable of. And what you believe about yourself and what you're capable of allows you to act in certain ways. That's what orients your behavior. And then it's your behaviors and habits over days, weeks, months, years, decades that creates the vision. But without the thought initially, you don't have the end result. So if you take out the stages in between that are essential, you start with a thought and it creates a reality. Yes, you've manifested it. But what people don't want to think about is all the shit you have to eat and the dragons you have to slay in between that. But if you don't have the initial thoughts, then you can't create those beliefs and you can't then take those actions because we act based on our beliefs. You can't take an action on something you don't believe in because it doesn't feel right.
Isn't it kind of our characteristics as well that create the action? Like, that's probably the hardest part in it.
What do you mean by characteristics?
Like, you're going to need confidence to take an action.
Yeah, and confidence is a belief system, isn't it?
You believe you have confidence. Yeah, that's right. You think you have the belief of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, but then a belief is sort of, it comes before thought. And a belief is grounded, was created and grounded through what you think about most of the time. So if you think confident thoughts more than you think unconfident thoughts, you're going to be confident.
Yeah. So can you manipulate yourself to have more confident thoughts?
That's an interesting question, isn't it? Because it goes back to that idea that you can't just shout affirmations in the mirror to be confident. I agree. But you need a level of, not necessarily you're already confident now, but I think you can have the thought that if I do these certain things, I can be this type of person. It's almost like you have to think the potential is there because you can't think you've already made it. You know, you can't think yourself into being confident, but you can definitely think yourself into believing that doing certain things will bring you confidence. And then doing those things build the competence, the getting good that actually makes you confident. But I don't know, it's a question that I think we'll be grappling with for like the next 5 years, bro. Do you know what I mean?
So it's like, wait, that doesn't work. Like shouting affirmations in the mirror.
No.
Like, but, yeah, but people say to do that in like self-help.
Just shower yourself. Yeah, but you know, that might give you a little bit of in the moment, like joy. Do you know what I mean? And you might be able to
Self-talk.
yeah, you might be able to trick yourself for a while. But the genuine self-talk that runs, you know, all the time, not just the first 5 minutes of the day when you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you decide to shout happy things to yourself, that takes a lot more effort and time to build. Like the self-talk that's going to come in when, for example, like the experience I've had in the past 10 days when I'm lying in bed ill with a fever when I should be at a training camp. Do you know what I mean? Like no level of affirmation is going to make me feel better. That comes from foundational self-talk that can only come from the efforts over a long period of time.
And I mean, these characteristics as well, you can kind of fake. Like they say that you can fake confidence.
You can. But what that means, Jacob, what that means is that you've taken the action that looks like you have confidence without actually having the belief itself, like without the belief being fully solidified.
It's like an action that you haven't taken before, but you say to yourself that you have.
No, it's taking an action even though you don't feel like you're capable of it. But in doing it, you are capable of doing it. It's like this idea that you can't fake bravery. I've heard Chris Williamson talk about it. Because by doing something scary, you're brave. Right? You can't fake bravery because you can't pretend to be brave. You're either brave or you're not. It's like you can do a thing without having a belief behind it, but by doing that thing, that builds the belief itself because you prove to yourself that you can. I feel like that's the blueprint, to be fair, of long-term self-belief and confidence I've found is, and I'm definitely, it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. I figured out. I certainly haven't. Like I'm on the beginning of my journey, but that's something I've started to notice anyway. Is that to build proof on a belief, to build proof on a thought pattern that you want to maintain, you have to obviously act based on those thoughts and beliefs. And if the actions go well, that becomes evidence that you should keep believing that thing, if that makes sense.
I feel like you have got more confident though, sort of over the years. And I guess that's kind of like the trend of just like more and more proof.
Yeah, and if that's something you've observed, that's great for me to hear. And obviously, I think obviously I'm more confident than my 16-year-old self, but there's certainly times that still on a weekly and daily basis that wish I could be more of my own man and sort of stand in my own truth and say what I want to say and do what I want to do. But obviously, they're just things that I'm going to fine tune and iron out over the next 10 years. And that's just the process. That's just being a person and growing up and learning.
I remember hearing Peterson saying like the best balance is to be introverted and extroverted.
Yeah.
You start off with as one, get into the other. So you start off as extroverted and then you become more introverted, and that's the best balance apparently. Because I think you can understand both of best worlds.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's it. I love people. I think they're the best things in life are the people that you have on your journey that you can relate to and have good experiences with, right? But also, I realized this today when I'm in a flat with none of my flatmates anymore. As much as I like some of them, like I like living on my own. I like having that peace, and I'd like the fact that the household is something calm where my introverted self can sort of regenerate his energy. But then if I want to be involved in a social group and a community, I can go out into the world and do that. And I'm not sort of just relying on social stimulation to feel good. I think it's right that you don't want to just be one or the other, because both extremes can be quite harmful, I think.
Yeah, you sent me that that poem that we both quite like, and it's like it says somewhere, isolation is a big gift.
Ew. Yeah. Yeah, do you think that's...
Why would isolation be a gift?
Well, because with a lot of things, other people can support you and give you praise and help you on your journey if they understand it. But the reality is 99% of other people just don't get what you're trying to achieve. Like, only you are there supporting yourself to the most in pretty much every other case. And no one can really do the work for you, can they? No one can sit there at the laptop in Costa and edit the things you need to edit, or write the things you need to write, or come up with those ideas. In the same way, no one can go and do the training sessions before me and I acquire the skill. No one can film a video for me, but I'm the one on the camera. That's not how it works. And isolation is a gift because other people are beautiful and amazing and some of the most precious things in life. And that's a blessing and a curse, because if there's something you want to do, like if you had a great friend group, they could distract you from that all of the time. If you have 10 friends that are all free on different days, you could just distract yourself going and meeting up with people you like, and you'd have a good life, but you wouldn't be doing the thing that maybe the highest part of yourself wants you to do. You'll be fulfilling that higher purpose that you set for yourself. So you need a level of isolation. But I think it's a balance, right? You need to be able to go into the dark forest and pursue difficult things without needing other people there clapping and cheering you on. But then in the evening time, you need to be able to go meet up and have a drink with some friends in that same day. Like, it's a balance thing. You definitely can't isolate yourself long term because you just get sad. Like, human beings need that. But I think it's, even on a daily basis, you can think about it of like, I like the idea that my mornings are for me. I don't really answer calls before 12. And I just want to do my work and have my morning routine. But then after that point, I'm open to it, and I like to see people every day and have good conversations every day. So yeah, isolation is a gift, but you can't just have it on its own. It's too toxic if it's just that.
I think it's also a reason is it gives you the silence from the noisy world. It's kind of what I.G. McCann said when he came on about suffering in the silence. It's like you should be suffering on your own. You need that time to suffer on your own, away from all the distraction.
Yeah, do you think you're comfortable in life without noise? Because at the moment, I don't think I am.
Comfortable without noise.
Like, if I told you
to a point,
if I told you to turn everything off, don't read anything, don't put any music on, don't do anything, and just like sit in a chair for like an extended period of time, 15 minutes, half an hour, like, how would you feel in that? Because I would say maybe first thing in the morning, I'm all right with it, or my brain is fresh. But you get me halfway through the day and you tell me to sit and do nothing. I don't know if my brain would enjoy that silence. I feel like I use noise as it's just a background distraction always, because my brain is just hooked to that, which is not good. It's something I want to work on.
Well, no noise creates boredom, but you need boredom for discovery and for creativity, I think. It's like I could actually make a good half an hour, because I would just half an hour with no distractions. I would either meditate or I'd make out some picture on the wall.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'd like to be able to, saying I'd like to be able to it pushes that responsibility to my future self, which is not what I want. I am going to build a brain that is so comfortable just being in the silence, just like living. Do you know what I mean? Just being able to sit there and listen to the wind and the breeze coming through the window and just stare at what's going on around me and just be at peace. And then everything else on top of that is just a bonus. But life's been just so upside down with being ill and busy that I just haven't made that a priority. So as we've talked about in previous conversations, that's what my sort of beginning of summer is about getting my brain fully back in gear.
Do you get the kind of feeling where sometimes you're more lonely in crowds? Like sometimes I'm more lonely in crowds than I would be if I'm on my own.
Yeah, what does that mean to you? I'll bounce it back first before I answer it.
It means that you probably struggle to relate to other people and other people struggle to. You're happy. You have enough entertainment with who you are by yourself, kind of without these distractions. So you're kind of at peace and happy with the person that you are, that you don't necessarily need as much else.
Yeah, I think you put it nicely. I think I'd rather be in my own head with my own thoughts than be around people that don't understand me. But then I'd rather be with people who do understand me rather than my own thoughts in my own head. So, and you have to take a gamble by meeting new people anyway to see whether they get you or not. And the people that get you are the ones that you want to be around. So, yeah, I think it's true that you can feel lonely in a crowded room. But, yeah, what were you going to say?
I think there's also an element of you can kind of shape people to be more like you. I think your energy is almost there. You can kind of give them that extra little bit to get with what you're on.
Yeah, I think you can definitely bring certain parts of people out of themselves through questions you ask and stuff, and the energy you give them. Not 100%. I bet that has to first be dormant within them. They have to have the ability to be that person, because they might just be like you, right? But they feel similarly isolated when in social situations, so they train themselves to just hide away their true self. But you have to give them a question or a sign to come out of their shell, and that you accept them and love that part of them and want to get to know that part of them. But if they don't have that dormant in them, they're just another NPC that you just have to interact with on a business level to just perform some activity together. Do you know what I mean?
It's interesting that bring things out of people.
You do that, don't you? That's what a question is.
Yeah, but then there must be a lot of people that never have that brought out with them.
Yeah. If you don't come across the right people in your life, there's so much potential ideas, potential skills and stories just deep inside you that never get brought out. I think about this with elderly people, right? They have so many stories to tell because they have 75, 80 years of life there. And even if you lived quite a mundane, average existence, you will still have some amazing stories to tell and amazing lessons that young people can learn. But because the generic perspective is to believe that elderly people are just boring and don't understand us and our lives and stuff, we don't ask the right questions. Imagine if you just sat down. I reckon any elderly stranger, if they're sound of mind, if you sat them down and went, tell me your life story, you would learn so much. And that's bringing stuff out of them that just wouldn't happen if you didn't do that. Do you know what I mean? I think it's true, man. You can just how much life experience you'd build just from being.
What do that in the sauna? I'll ask someone their life story.
That's it. It's a tough one, though, because you can't just go from, hi, how are you? Tell me a life story, but you got to build up a bit of a connection first. But yeah, I agree. I'm going to do that in Madrid, I think, when after the final, going to take some of my teammates to a bar. They'll be the ones that want to go clubbing and get off their face and stuff. That's fine. They can go and do that. But there's a couple of them I just want to take to a bar, order a whiskey on the rocks and be like, right, tell me a life story. I mean, we've got time. We just won a gold medal. Let's just chat. You know,
There's you only really know the surface level of people. You don't, there's so much you don't know about them
mm,
because they never really present it.
no, no. There's a big shell that we all have, layers and layers and layers of it. You know.
And you gotta get a fork and stab the onion.
Yeah, I mean that's quite an aggressive analogy, but it's true. And then I guess your friends are the people that have just peeled off the most layers from you, right? They're the people that are closest to the center, closest to the real you. And that's what making friends is peeling away the layers of them and getting to know the real person. And you know, once you know and like the real person, not someone's act that they're playing, like who they actually are, that's a great friendship.
I want to get some reflections because we've just finished a year of uni. And just give like a summary of the first year.
Oh, okay. Uni is not a place to learn things, would be my first point. Like if I was going to go back to, if I was going to go back to, like Joel a year ago, or just anyone thinking of doing a degree, an undergraduate degree or whatever, you're about to go into your first year in halls. You're not there to learn. If you're only there to learn, don't do it. And that's such a weird way of thinking about it, but it's why I believe if you're only there to get the degree, it's not worth doing it. If you're there because you want the freedom and you want to meet loads of people and you want to go out partying and build this big social circle and get away from the grips of your parents and move out of a toxic house and whatever, fair enough. Come do it. Or if you're here to grow your network or to do sports and have the access to the sport facilities like me, for example, then do it. But yeah, uni is not about learning, and that's something I figured out very quickly. It's more a place where young people come to let themselves free from the grips of their parents or school or whatever. So what was interesting about my first year is a few weeks in, I knew I was leaving at the end of the year. So that was a weird mindset going into the rest of the year. Originally, I thought I was going abroad to play basketball at the end of the year. Then I thought I was going to go to Nottingham. Then I got set on London in sort of the January time. But it was always a year where I didn't really feel quite grounded. I didn't really feel like uni was home and didn't really relate to the people around me. So I enjoyed some of the parts of the education. It was interesting doing different assignments. I learned some cool stuff. I met some cool people on my course that were like me. And that was fun. But it certainly wasn't the year I expected it to be. But it's been a year that I've grown up the most. And grown up at the fastest pace. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the lessons and the people I met along the way. So yeah, that's a decent summary. What would you say?
I'm with you on it's the year that I've grown up the fastest. And you do question whether you've grown up too fast because everyone around you doesn't seem to grow up.
Yeah.
I haven't learned that much. I wasn't as present as you. I kind of didn't go to many of my lectures.
No.
I didn't really. I met 2 dogs, and
The rest are weasels.
yeah. But there's a couple more people to be. It's been nice living on my own, I guess. It's been nice having that isolation. There's a lot of isolation. Would there be like much you would do differently?
I said, someone asked me this. I think it was one of my psychology friends when we saw each other for the last time for the year. He asked me what I'd do differently. I would have set up a wheelchair basketball team at the uni, or at least tried to, because to compete in Bucks, which is like the British University Championship or whatever, you only need one disabled athlete, which could be me. And I've seen other wheelchair users around campus. I'd get them in. I'd have to somehow get some sports chairs, which that would be logistically difficult and stuff. But I would have looked into that anyway. And I mean, in retrospect, I wouldn't have come to this uni. I would have done a more basketball focused choice in where I went. But you can't look back on that. You can't look back and change that, because it's the past. Really, hindsight's a great thing. But in how I approached the year, maybe I would have done more social things and joined more societies. But then my life's in quite a fine balance. I like the things that I do, and I've met some great people. Even though the numbers are small, there's still people that understand my journey. So I guess maybe I would have just messaged the people that I enjoy being around more and said, do you want to just meet for an hour and get a sandwich and talk about life a bit more, because I didn't realize how finite those moments were. And it sort of came along surprisingly during the May and June term that might be the last time that I see these people. We had some of our last times together, some of our last conversations, and everyone likes to do the nice optimistic thing and say, yeah, we'll see each other. Yeah, we'll still see each other even though you're not going uni here. And I'm like, yeah, I heard it all before though, in sixth form, when everyone was like, oh yeah, we'll meet up. Yeah. No, mate, I'm friends with one or two people from school. It's not how it works. That's the nice narrative that everyone likes to believe. But the reality is, if you're not in there in a circle, or if you don't think about them on a daily basis, you're probably not going to meet up with them again, unless it happens by some weird circumstance. So, yeah, I probably would have just taken in the experiences more. I mean, it's the same lesson I was probably going to tell myself in 5 years' time. The same thing of just be more present, be there when it's happening, because you don't know how finite things are and how little you actually get when you look back and go, wow, I met up with those people 20 times outside of lectures. That was it. I should have taken in all those 20 deeply as I possibly could. What about you? What would you change?
I
don't like these kind of questions because I don't really have regrets. Because I'm happy with where I'm at. There's no like clear thing in my head where it's like, I wish I'd started playing cricket. Do you know what I mean? Or like, I wish I'd switched course. Or like, I wish I'd gone to bed later or early. I don't have those kind of thoughts really. It's more just like, I wish I'd been there more. I wish I'd breathed more deeply. I wish I'd given that person more deeper eye contact. I wish I'd asked them this certain riskier question, or those kind of things. Just the day-to-day in the weeds, like trying to extract the most value and love out of the experience,
I'd like the first term social experience with this term's work ethic.
Yeah, yeah, that's nice. That's a nice take. I mean, but maybe you had
if you on the present.
Yeah. But maybe you had to do the higher socializing, lower work ethic to then abstain from that and do the low socializing, high work ethic. And now next year you can combine them together. Do you think there's a way you can balance both plates at the same time?
Maybe
that's something you've got to try and figure out, because if you can have a similar output of work and be happier in life because of this stuff, that's a great little deal you've made with life there.
How are your goodbyes?
Yeah. Interesting, mate. Yeah.
So they were just like, oh, I miss you, and you're like, you're never going to see me again, but you're a good bloke.
Yeah, to be honest, mate, you summed up quite well there. Because, I really liked a couple of people on my psychology course. I really did. I think they're great human beings, and I wish the best for them. And they did the thing of like, no, we'll see each other. I'm like, no, I don't want people to think that. I don't want people to think I'm being a dickhead, because like, if we're in the same geographical location and I'm free and they are free and one person contacts the other person, we will meet up. But what I'm saying is I'm not quick to believe this. Like, no, we'll see. We'll definitely meet up. Yeah. No. In the summer, we'll offside. No, we won't. You'll be busy with your life. I'll be busy with my life. We'll probably forget each other existed. But we had a good time while it happened. This was like the main point I was trying to get across to them. Was like, I love you guys. Like, we've had a great time. But that time is ending. And we're going into a different season of life. You're going into a season without Joel Clifton. Now, if you really want him there, and you want him back, and you want to see him, you have his phone number, right? You can ring me every day if you want. I might answer if I'm free. But I'm not going into this optimistic, like overly optimistic idea that we're going to be great friends and hang out all the time, because that's not the reality of the situation. But it was funny, like some sort of side character friends that aren't sort of in the main two that I had the most conversations with, but were on that course, and I'd had some funny conversations with, were like confused when I was like, yeah, this is the last time you're going to see me, because they sort of didn't really know what my plans were for next year. But my favorite line was, there's this one girl who's like in the Christian Union or whatever. She's like part of the committee. And I just, one of the last things I said to her was, I'll see you in heaven if not before. And I just left.
Yeah. They didn't know what they got. They didn't know what they had till it was gone.
That's it, man. That's it. But I quite like the fact that I've just sort of, they've had a flash of the pan of Joel Clifton. Do you know what I mean? They've had a year where they've had the conversations and they've experienced the guy that I am, and they've experienced my philosophy of life. And then I'm going to go and they're going to still be thinking about it. There's this one girl who, we didn't see each other a lot, man. Not a lot whatsoever. But we had a couple of really good conversations, and she messaged me and she was like, you're definitely one of the best people I've met at uni this year, and I 100% want to see you again. You're like, whether that happens or not, so be it, that's life. But I said to her, I was like, you've got a great soul, you've got spirit, and I know that good things will happen whatever you do, and I wish you the best.
Well, for friendships, we want about commitment.
Yeah.
And so, really, if one of you did put in excess effort, you could actually stay friends.
Definitely. No, I agree. But this is the thing. I'm quite a cutthroat person. Of like, unless you're in my inner circle, I don't really contact you, because I'm so driven with the shit that I'm doing. It's like, if you rang me, I would answer and we would chat and we would organize a time to meet up. But I get so distracted, chopping the wood and carrying the water, of just doing the things that I need to do, that I don't think about it. And also I have this weird thing of like, I like people to make the first move, because I don't want to be that guy that contacts them, they don't really care. Like, unless it's a fuck yes from someone to see me, I'd rather they don't. Like, if it's just like, yeah, I'll see Joel, he was nice, and well, don't bother then. I want it to be like, oh yeah, oh, I haven't seen Joel in ages, that'd be great. If it's like that, brilliant. But if it's just like, oh yeah, he's alright, yeah, then don't, I can't be asked then. No, but you get what I mean. You do get what I mean. Because in the same time,
you just want your free take a treat.
Yeah, that's it. Like, but you can think about it from our perspective, right? Someone mentions somebody you used to know. If you don't go, oh, I forgot they were great, I really want to see them, then what's the point? If you go, oh yeah, they were right, like, that'd be cool to see them. Like, no, it won't. Just like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you really cared, you'd have their phone number and you'd message them and stuff. I'm a bit cutthroat with that, but that's just the way it is.
And like, say they wanted to delete social media, I say to them that because their main point is that, what about all these people that I'm in contact with and want to talk to? And then I say, well, if they were that important, then you'd have their number and you'd be texting normally.
If I go onto my Instagram, I follow, let's see, I follow 178 people, right? And I probably DM regularly 5. I mean, so there are 173 people that come up on my feed and I see their story or whatever that I just really don't give a shit about. And it's just like, I think I'm going to get to a point this year where I just don't play this game for a while. You know, just spend the summer out of it. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, you should do that experiment in the summer and see where it takes you.
I might just switch my phone or like switch social media and that off for July. It's just noise. And it's sometimes it's useful noise. And the thing is, it's like 80% of it is just absolute drivel. But there's a really good 20% that does connect people and you laugh at a meme and it makes you feel happy, where you network with someone on social media or you grow a little bit of a following from something you do. But it's that 80% noise. And when I see these, have you seen like some interviews with like, I think there's one with like Morgan Freeman, where he's just like, he's asked like, what do you think of social media and young people, whatever? And he was like, I suggest they just turn it off. Because he was just saying like, it doesn't make you happy. It doesn't give you true happiness anyway. And he was like, if you ever want to do something important in life, that's just going to distract you. So turn it off. I was like, yeah, he's so right. He's so right.
It's interesting. Like, have you tried to like think for a while? Like force yourself to think for a couple hours.
No, bro. That's
see what comes up.
I'll say it.
When you brainstorm like video ideas.
I mean, yeah, that's a level of letting myself think. But even then, I've got like a paper and pen, and I'll put music.
Because I've been like,
go on. I think there's a delay, but you go.
I've been doing that for like an hour, for the last 3 days, and it's been nice because even if you got no thoughts, you just kind of look around and admire the view, and then a thought just pops in your head and you get going again.
Yeah, that's it. That's as Stephen Pressfield says. That's waiting for the muse. No, it is. It's sitting down and showing up to do the work and waiting for the mystical forces to place the creative ideas inside your mind. I was looking back at some old wheelchair basketball games from the Tokyo Paralympics as a bit of like inspiration or whatever for Europeans. And one is a quarterfinal for the men, where it's USA against Turkey. And it's a really, really good game. I like the Turkish national team. I've got a little soft spot for them. I just like their character and their aggression. And then the USA are like the current Paralympic and world gold medalists. They're like the best international team in the world. And the USA win eventually by like however many points. But I think they were down at one point. There was a point where Turkey could have won the game. I think they won by single digits, the USA. And then at the end of the broadcast of the game, you can see the final USA team talk. And you can actually hear, if you turn the volume up, you can hear what the captain, Steve Serio, is saying to his team. And he was like, you know, it's good that we brought out the win. But he said, there's a big difference between playing to win and playing to not lose. And in that game, we were playing to not lose. But to win a gold, we had to play to win. I was like, ooh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. And then I wrote in big, bold lettering on my Notion page here, there's a huge difference between playing to win and playing to not lose. The former, you attack the game and come alive. The latter is a defensive mindset when you focus on what could go wrong. Now, if we think about that from the sporting context, going out to go and win is playing your game, making their defense mold around what you do, taking your shots, knowing that that's a good shot for you to take, so believing that it can go in. You're relaxed because you're executing a game plan to go out and win that game. Whereas playing to not lose is trying to anticipate what they're going to do, playing scared, being cautious, not wanting to get caught out, worrying that you're not making the right move. And then you can extrapolate that to, well, I think, the whole of life. So are you living life to win, or are you living life to not lose? Are you coming alive during the day, doing things that excite you? Or are you just playing to not get the bailiffs to come and take your TV? Are you playing so the police don't find you? Are you playing so your family don't bring up that thing that you did years ago that you're still embarrassed about? Or are you playing to go and attack life and be the hero and be the victor and go and do things and be active? I feel like you can have an active and a passive approach to a game of sport, but you can also have an active and a passive approach to life. So that's one of the lessons I've been thinking about.
Yeah, I like that. Playing not to lose is kind of rising above the surface and kind of just keeping up.
That's it. You're playing catch up because you're believing that the other team has a good chance of winning. You're trying to just stop it. I mean, you're trying to stop them rather than thinking about how they're just not going to be able to stop you. But it's interesting. It's an interesting phrase.
Yeah, I think some days I've been playing to win, but some days I've been playing not to lose.
Yeah, 100%. Same, mate. Same. Some days it's like you're proper active and you're taking on life, and other days it's just damage limitation and you're just getting through it, you know?
I don't know it'd be pretty hard to play to win all the time.
Yeah, agreed. But it's just an interesting frame to have around things. Frozen again. Oh, you're back. There we go.
Yeah.
So I think we've done like an hour there, so I'm happy to leave it if you are.
Yeah.
I think we covered some good bits. I don't know how the audio or the video is going to end up with your internet connection. So I don't know how salvageable this will be. That's something that you'll find out when you get those those files. But in spite of that, I've enjoyed this, just having a chat, getting back to me and you just chatting about life.